Give me one thing you want to flush from 2023 and one thing you want to carry over from 2023 to 2024.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of things. I don't want to flush anything. You know, I don't think that's the right perspective that we want to have. I want to, be realistic and recognize where we can be better. And sometimes if you flush that, so to speak, it doesn't give you that opportunity. And, conversely, we want to do everything better. I don't think this isn't, I want to eat better, I want to get more sleep, or, I want to be better. And that means individually and collectively.
Trey's been at the top of points per possession in terms of being the pick and roll man or ball handler. I'm curious, where do you see him taking that next step as far as improvement? He's mentioned turning over the ball a little bit less. Just how does he do that? And does that start with the communication?
I think communication is a buzzword.
Yeah.
If I could go back and answer that question, that would be something that I really feel needs to be a focus for us. Oftentimes, I'll get back to more specifically, if you're trying to communicate, if there's a language that you don't know or speak, it's difficult to talk.
Right.
So hopefully that's something, as we become more and more trained in our habits, we know where we're supposed to be, what we want to accomplish, that begets more communication. I think in Trey's case, managing a game is those are the situations where he's able to communicate, and that's collectively, us understanding, and I'm not just talking about late in the game, throughout the game. I think something that you're seeing him do more and more of, and with respect to things like turnovers, there's a fine line there because he's able to make plays, and just being able to understand time, score, situation, and when is a play along that continuum worth it, and then what are the things that allow you, he's so good, moving people with his eyes. He's so good with ball fakes, and can he keep his feet on the floor and play in the lane more? There's lots of little things that he's talked about. As you look at kind of what you want to accomplish as a goal, I think it's important to see the things that lead up to that help you accomplish the goal, and that's really where our focus is as a group as well. He happens to have the ball.
Yeah.
So with that, that great freedom, because we do want him to be who he is, and comes responsibility.
What's the biggest challenge facing this Oklahoma City team?
There's a lot of things that they do well. Obviously, you can see that reflected in the way that they're playing. They play a lot of small actions where, they create shots by creating indecision and then driving the ball. So I think, Holmgren spacing the floor pulls you out away from the basket oftentimes. So we've got to be better generally in containing the ball, and they're a team that puts a lot of pressure on you to do that. So it starts with transition, and then even in the half court, us being shifted, shrinking the floor, so to speak, and not allowing them to see lanes to the basket, and then just guard your man, one-on-one, guard your yard, stay in front, so that we can, if you are beat, because those things happen, you're not beat in a straight line where we can actually help each other.
It's well documented they're the second youngest team in the NBA, but do they look like that on the court? Is that a credit to the coaching, what they got development?
I think youth is, in this day, you see so many players that early in the league, they feel like they belong. It's not just that they look it, there's a level of confidence that, younger players have now that kind of transcends age. I think over the course of their career, there's other things experientially that where they grow, but I don't think of them, ironically, as such a young team. I think SGA, as an example, oftentimes when a guy that's a catalyst for you plays with the poise and experience that kind of lifts everybody and connects everybody. But they've got an identity. They defend the ball, they help each other, and they drive the ball. And And I think that's something that Mark's developed, you know, in those guys over time, and they bought into, and you can see it reflect on the court.
How do you assess the growing connection that seems to be between Trey and Jaylen? They just seem to be connecting really well on the court as of late.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think Trey's been with us for, you know, a much longer period of time than JJ, and even Jaylen. It's been good to see, even though he missed, a big chunk of time, that, you know, he's his feel for the game. He's someone that's easy to play with, and, you know, he and Trey together, they're both good passers, and they're both unselfish, and they'll continue to get more connected. I think as they play more together, whether it's a two-man game or, you know, in transition, you know, you see Jaylen pushing the ball and, you know, Trey running the lane, where someone else is getting him something easy as opposed to him having the ball all the time in transition. He wants that. JJ wants that, and those are kind of those interactions. I think they'll continue to improve.
Trey also talked about Jaylen's confidence growing and just not hesitating to pull the trigger and whatnot, and that, but he still sees there's like a little bit of untapped potential. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, I think, you know, Jaylen, I don't know, he hasn't played like heavy minutes in his career, so now that he's playing more, sometimes being comfortable, particularly in catch and shoot situations, is something that you just, you know, through repetition, you begin. It's less about confidence than it is about familiarity with those situations and being prepared to shoot, because that's what we want him to do. So him, you know, not hesitating, and that's something that I think he's done a really good job of.